dry. The surface looks good. The seam is maybe a 64th off, which is great. I can barely even feel the dip or feel the ledge there. And straightness wise, it's not perfectly flat, but take a 32nd off in the center and it'll be fine. So I'm pretty pleased with that. That looks really good, actually. So I'm going to take this and get the clamps put away. My next step will be the long edge is very straight. My next step will probably be to cut it to width. Actually, I have to work out a shape, so I'm going to put some clamps away and I'll bring you back. Alright, I just got it lightly fastened on the vise on the bench. I'm just going to, I think I actually want a scraper instead to just get the glue off of the surface here that's squeezed out in the back side, the bottom side I guess that is. Looking for my scrapers. Try one of these and see how they do. The thinner ones here. Yeah, that'll do. This one's got no edge to it though. Yeah, this one's got no edge. That one's got an edge to it. I'm just peeling off the glue squeeze out so it'll sit a little flatter. That's all. And yes, I know I'm going across the grain. I don't really care. This is the one. This is the underside. Two, it's not the finished surface. I will say the glue line looks pretty good on the back, so that's even more promising for the front side. I made very little effort to make this glue line look good on the bottom side, so I think it might be time to sharpen a scraper or two. But now we should sit flat enough that I can work the middle section. Okay, we're going to take a real quick trip to the drum sander just to get that top surface clean enough that I can start thinking about the contour of the top. Yeah, that'll do. So, we get it up high enough here to clear. And I'm just going to skim the top until it's smooth and use that as my, because I've got this shape, right? So here's what I'm working out. The grain is doing this, and there's a sort of a plain spot along the top of this area, and it's widest right here. It's nearly 9 inches here. It's under 8.5 out on the ends. So what I'm thinking is maybe we just do a very smooth arc, possibly. Maybe. I haven't decided. That's why I want to sand it. I want to sand and see as well as I can what the grain looks like here, so I can see how much of it I want to keep or how little I want to cut off. So just run this drum sander real fast. Alright, now it's pretty flat, pretty smooth. There's some sandy mark lines, but that's just because it was a rough enough grit to get the job done. So I'm going to take some mineral spirits and get a gander at this grain. And I'm trying to get a sense of where the figure is on it. That really darkens up, doesn't it? It's pretty. Okay, so I have some features I like. There's these little knot bits right in here, so I don't mind keeping those. And of course there's all the beeswing that's running way out to here, so take as little off the ends, I suppose. And I think I'm going to I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the ends. I may not do anything. I may just leave them. I haven't decided yet. So, but yeah, that's going to be some pretty stuff, isn't it? Sure is. I'm going to get this one edge straight now that it's done and dry. So we'll take the over to the joiner next. Alright, so it's nice and flat, it looks good. This edge is nice and straight now. That looks good. I think I'm going to do a bevel on it, possibly, so that it'll seat against a wall nice. So for the next thing I'm going to do, I've got all these little checks and cracks in here. I'm going to mix up a little epoxy and fill them. So that is my next step here. I'm going to drop down and do a little volumetric measuring here. Just squeeze out equal amounts. This is some 6-minute epoxy. I'm gonna squeeze out just enough, and then I've got some ebony dust, some ebony sanding dust that I'm going to this ebony sanding dust that will make it black. I'm gonna see if that's enough. It's a little bit cold, so the slump rate is rather slow. I think we're really close though. I've also taken this popsicle stick, hey up there. I'm also taking this popsicle stick and I cut a square edge on a square end on it so that when I go to mix I can get down inside of the corners of the cup. But that really is slumping slow, isn't it? It looks like we could use a little tiny bit more. This is the resin side of it, so I'll just add a tiny little bit more. Let's say that's pretty close. I'm just trying to get a roughly decent measurement here. I think we could take a little bit more actually. Yeah, we'll stay with that. Let's put some hardener in there. This is 6 minute. I'll take it up to the 1 teaspoon line. Make sure I get enough hardener in there so that it will harden right. Okay, clock's ticking now, so stir away. And then I'll add in the epoxy, or the sawdust here in a second. I think I'm going to throw a little acetone in here to thin it some so it'll soak in better as well. So I'm going to run and grab some of that here briefly. Really fast, grab some of that here. Well, forget it. It's too hard to get at. Didn't use my brains. It's okay. I'll just mush that in there, I guess. The acetone is tough to reach right now. Okay. Ebony sawdust here. Just sprinkle a little bit of it in. This is sanding flour. It's very, very, very fine powder. Now it's a bit brown, but we're going to go even darker than this, I think. And just get it, you know, homogeneous. Right now it's a bit gray. That's probably enough now. Not quite yet. A little bit darker than this. It's going to self-heat as well, this exothermic reaction it's going to have. There we go. That'll be the last infusion of the sawdust we'll do, because I got to start putting this in the cracks quick. Okay. Pretty homogeneous. It's getting runny enough that I can use it now. And I can feel it starting to warm, so we gotta not goof around now. Just shoving it down in there, and then I'll lay it on thick on top, that it stays proud. It's getting warm, I can feel it. Try and make sure it gets some down inside of it so it tooths well. And then there's one more right up there. Get it in there nice. Okay, I'm starting to warm up. I can feel it. It's a little warm on my fingers actually. I can feel how warm it is. And it's starting to thicken. Good old epoxy. Okay, so we'll let that dry and come back and smooth it out real nice after that. Alright, the epoxy is now dry and I just got it bumped up against a stop here, taking Dave's awesome plane and just getting it pretty close to flush. This doesn't take too much, it's just hard enough to be useful here, so. And we'll just keep at it here until it's flush with our surface. Alright, it's time to start contemplating the base for this table that I'm building here. I've got a thing about stuff that the people who do know me fairly well know that I can't stand oak. Hate it. It's ugly. It's, man. People love it. Enjoy your oak. More for you. If I don't use it, you can have it. There's more. Just look at it as that. I just don't like oak. However, I happen to have some slabs of it that are really, really, well, here's the best piece I found. This is a chunk of red oak that's, well, it's ugly first of all and it's warped all to hell, but it's about 3.5 inches thick, up to 3 3/4 in some spots. It's pretty thick stuff. Yeah, at minimum of 3.5 inches thick. It's gnarly. It's well, there's this crack here. You can't see the worst of it. It's also very freaking heavy. But on this side, it's pith. It's all pith. I'm so pithed. Right through the middle of this. Well, it kind of goes diagonal. It doesn't really matter, but what that means is, since this is almost all pith, almost all of this is quarter sawn. And I have this stuff, and I might as well make use of it. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it here. It got a little rotted down in there because it's been stored in a really bad spot. It is 7 years old, maybe 6 or 7 years old, and heavy as all hell, probably not dry. And the main problem, well, I'm not going to call it a problem because traditionally we'd consider it a problem, but it's, you see how, and you see the utter lack of flatness or straightness and severe amount of twist in it? Well, in most situations that would be a problem. But in this project, I'm not entirely sure I care. The pith is up on top here, and if I attempt to set it down, so there's a good inch of rock just that, in that much. But almost all of this is quarter sawn. And since I'm heading for some kind of I'm heading towards or nearing towards some sort of an organic shape, I ultimately don't think I really need any straight face. I just need to do what the wood does, to do what the wood tells me to do with it. The fact that it's quarter sawn is going to be interesting, I think, because I can use that to good effect. But it's, I've got, if we take out where the pith is, we're looking at a minimum of 10 inches. Yeah, I could get easily, I'd have no trouble getting 10 by 3.5 out of this hole. What is this, about 4 feet long? 46.5. And the rot that's here might actually be interesting. I don't know. It might be garbage. But I have oak and I don't have a use for it really, so why not make it for this project? Why not use it here? I have no reason not to. The ultimate thing is going to be how to work with it and how to get the boards out of it that I want, or the pieces out of it that I want. This is less rotted. There's some really cool, or some potentially really cool ray fleck going on in here. But I truly, honestly don't really care that it isn't flat. I kind of want it to not be flat. At least in my head I do. I may actually hate that when I go to do things with this. But this is where I'm kind of deciding where in this board. I'm going to use this board. We're going to use this to make this table. I don't know if it's going to work with a crap or if it's going to suck. Or when I cut into it, if it's going to go completely haywire on me and destroy itself. I don't know. But I do know that the organic shape I'm seeking is likely gotten from this. So what I've first got to do is I'm going to try, I don't know how much I can get out of this, but I'm going to try to do a little bit of layout on this to get some of the pieces that I want. And that means I'm going to start deciding on, how tall should it be. I might not be pleased with, I'm coming back for the top here. I might not be pleased if it's too short. Might be alright if it's, somewhere in this vicinity for me. So what is that? I don't know. I don't know how tall that is. I've got to find some straight up ground. What if we are 32 at the top? What if the top shows up at 32? That means take 1.5 inches off, or 1.25 inches off of this. So make that 30.5 long, right? So there's how little I'm going to measure. That's about all I'm going to measure anymore. Get a rough length here. Both ends of these are pretty sound on either side, so I'm not too worried about that. We're looking at 30.5, so if I did it at 31.5, buy myself a little bit of room. And then what am I thinking? I'm coming up with the trunk shape here. The trunk shape. So now we're looking at how wide do I want to make it? Just the trunk piece. I'm looking at that center section being my main thing. I may kind of tempted to put it on a couple of pad, like feet almost, so it's up off the floor. Maybe like those, boy, that'd be a tricky one. Like cypress, have you seen like swamp cypress, where they've got like legs almost that go down into the mud, into the soil, into the swamp, and they're held up a little bit. So maybe something kind of like that, which means I can be shorter. I don't have to be 32 anymore. I can be closer to like 26, 27, somewhere in here, or even less. Yeah, something like that. So this is complete freeform. One, I'm no artist. Two, I've never done anything close to this, where it's just spewing creatively out of my head. The closest I've come is the small rocking chair, but that was an easier one. This one is nothing out there that I want to do exists. It's all up here, and I have to figure it out. So you're getting the process of me making decisions about that stuff. So if we did, I don't know, 30 something, if it was 30 and then it could sit up off the floor a little bit, I want to look for, I think I have pieces of chalk. I think that's going to be the easiest way to demark all of this stuff. So somewhere in the 30 range, I suppose, somewhere here. And how wide? 6 inches? I don't want it to be too bulky. I think 6 is fine. Like there. And then come down to here and do a 6. It doesn't have to be, again, we're very much working with the organic shape that I've got here. If I do that, then I can round it, because I'm kind of looking for a rounded sort of shape. This also buys me options if that rot on the other side, because this is actually, I'm thinking, is the back. On this side, there's a bunch of rot right there. That might actually look good as the bottom, maybe. I'm going to hurt myself if I let this drop too fast. Yeah, so I'm thinking somewhere in there. That leaves me all of this and some strips along the sides here to make branches or feet or something like that. Yeah, I think that's going to work out all right. So now the question is, how do I get that out of this board? I don't know. It's too crappy to use the good saw on. So I'm thinking either Sawzall or chainsaw. I haven't used the chainsaw in a while, but it might be the better choice here. Yeah, I need to figure that part out. I just need to get that out of this board. Well, the rain is coming again, so I'm not going to be on the chainsaw, so I'm just going to start layout, and I think I'll try a couple of things. I'll try my circular saw, get as much depth as possible, and then see what I can do. We'll see. But we're going to mark the lines, and then checking this edge. It's not bad, straightness-wise. I might lose an 1/8. Not bad. For as whiny and windy as bad as this is, like on this side, it's way off, right? But not bad on this side, because I ripped that with the chainsaw a long time ago. Alright, so then we can mark another line here. This will just be my cut line to be followed however I decide to do this. Okay. And then we're doing, what did we do? We did 32-ish. Right, 30 1/4. We'll just come back here and we'll get somewhere in that rough vicinity as well. Okay. I'm gonna drop my tape measure on the floor. Just real quick throw in a line here. So everything else plays off of this. So I'm going to take my circular saw, I think, and just cut as deep as it'll go in a couple of passes and try to, you know, free this chunk board. The rest of it I'll make pieces of because I don't need anything long after that. We'll see how this does. This is going to be noisy and messy, so I'm going to set my blade, my cut depth to about a 1/2 inch or less. Gotta open it first. So I'm going to go as deep as I can, but I'm going to, oops, sorry, a lot of noise there, I imagine. So I'm going to start fairly shallow, at about a 1/2 inch, and then we'll gradually work our way up on this. So this looks like it's going to cut just fine all the way to that point, and then we'll stop, bring it back, drop again, and we'll just keep taking a couple of passes. So yeah, this is going to be a messy one, and it may not be the right way, but this is how I'm going to get this piece of wood out of here. So here we go. Okay, well that was loud and didn't get through it very easily, but it's weakened enough that I think I can catch the rest with the Sawzall. I need to stand it up at some point here and get a gander. Let's pop it free. Okay. I doubt I tracked well enough to be able to fully seat the Sawzall, but I'm going to grab the longest Sawzall blade I've got. Okay, I got it stood up here on the end of the bench. Should be pretty good. I actually see more daylight through there than I expected to see, so maybe I didn't track too poorly. So I'm going to put on the hearing protection and go after it with the Sawzall here real quick. There we go. And it's free. One board. Oh yeah, that was way off. I didn't track real well there, did I? That's okay. That's a lot straighter than the rest of the board it came from. Not too bad. It's heavy. And it's good to see I don't think there's much in the way of that rot that's on this side here. Yeah, that does go in a little, but not that bad. So we probably won't even see this rot. That's heavy duty work. So that's that piece. Okay, so we have a I checked the straightness on this. It's reasonably straight. It's just severe twist, right? So it rocks like crazy. But on the back side, I just need a flat spot so it can go against a wall. So I'm thinking I'll do is I'm going to take this over to the joiner right now, and I'm going to pull this on flat. This is the back side. I'll pull this flat completely. I'm going to just really cut into it a lot because it's probably going to take 3/4 of an inch off to get rid of this twist. Let me show you this twist. So to the jointer we go. Well, that's a pleasant surprise, frankly. I expected to lose a lot more thickness than that. It really was about 1/8 of an inch per pass, and I think it was 4 passes, so I lost 1/2 inch. And show you my flatness now. Damn near stable. Pretty much definitely stable. And we're still, I gotta find my minimum, what I leave myself thickness wise. 3.5 there. This is probably the thinnest spot, and it's full 3 inch there. 3 1/4, 3.5. It's almost 3.5. So this was my least. This is my least flat side. This was my point where I lost the most thickness. And it doesn't matter because all I needed was flat. But also check out that cricky quarter sawn grain. That's pretty cool too, isn't it? Isn't it? I think it is. Yeah, so this thing's gonna look pretty neat, I think. We'll see. We shall see soon. Yeah, this is almost perfectly quarter sawn. There's so many ray flecks. It's so well quarter sawn that I can barely make out the rings from the rays. There's a couple of spots that are a little sawdust packed, but I'm not terribly concerned there. You know, like wormholes, bug holes, something like that. But overall, way flatter than I expected to get it in 3 or 4 passes. Cool. So now I can hold it like this, and I can shape this curve the way I'd like. And I also have the ability now to get something a little closer. I think I'm okay with, I don't know. I'm working out what I'm going to do as far as curvature of this goes. Not sure I want it perfectly straight. I think I want it thicker at the bottom. I'm thinking this will be the bottom side. Yeah, that'll be the bottom. And yeah, this is cool. So far so good. Yeah, we're definitely going to eat through most of this rot though, for sure. I'm trying to decide whether I want to put this through the bandsaw. I don't think I do. I think I want to leave it as it is. And we're just going to cut some corners off of this. Heavily cut off these corners, heavily cut off these corners. I'm just trying to think of a faster way of getting that done without wrecking tools or requiring straight surfaces. I suppose I could tack it to a straight board and then do the beveling on it, maybe. Maybe that's how we do this. So I don't have square or straight edges, and I'm not sure I want them, but I still want to perform some sort of shaping on it. Bulk shaping if I can, because there's an awful lot of wood to remove to get a roundish kind of shape. Yeah, let me ponder that a little bit. I'm proud. I'm pleased with what that did. That came out way cleaner, way faster than I expected it to. That's cool. That is quite cool. Alright. I just have to figure out my next step and then I'll bring you back. That's what we'll do. Alright. I've decided I didn't need a straight edge yet. Decided we're going to sort of get a plan for where the things I'm adding to this are going to attach. So basically I'm working out my joinery. Rough shape, I'm thinking probably a little bit of a curve like this, and that way is top. So top is over here. Top is over, can you see my hand? Yeah, top's over here. And we'll do, I think, a little bit of an asymmetrical thing here, and I want to put something off from that point, and then we'll go out like that maybe. Or no, let's go like that. So it's kind of writhed. And then right up here we'll do another offshoot like that. So I'm gonna try to get a crotch right in this area. And I'm gonna try to get a crotch right in this area, but this crotch, this one will be back flat. This one I'm gonna have come out up forward this way, I think. Not sure yet. Still coming up with my ideas here. This, I think, and so that means I need to get a flat spot in this area and in this area, and then right in here I'm going to do another one that's going to come out. It's going to come up this way. The same is going to happen here. Is I'm going to put a leg that comes out this way, sort of towards you. We'll do another a leg that comes off this way and a leg that comes off this way. The idea is so it's a tripod and it'll be as stable as possible. This one is so that it can support the center of the tabletop out a little ways. This one will come up to support the far end of the tabletop. This one will branch off and go this way to support the other end of the tabletop. So that's kind of what I have in mind. To do this, I need to create joinery locations here. So there's 6 joints I've got to make possible. And I'm going to do them at angles. And I'm just working out. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to set this in a rig of some kind to hold it at the angle I want, and then come in with a plunge router and make a flat spot. And I really don't care, for the most part, any of the flat spots are going to make. I'm not really worried about the flat spots being a. I don't worry about making the flat spots too big because I'm going to cut away everything that they join into pretty much all the way anyway, so I'm not too worried there. I just need them to be at a depth that's going to work for the shape I've got in mind. So that is my next plan. So we're going to go ahead and work out a way to hold these things. So I think just right here on the vise, on the bench, might work well. If I just have it, I'll put a wedge under it and set it at this angle, and then I'll cut this one straight up and down right here. And maybe set it at this angle and cut this one. And then set this at a bit of an angle and cut this one. And then set this at an angle and cut this one. So that's kind of the plan. This one we'll do sort of like this, maybe. Or just tilt it and up like this. Something like that. So I've got to work out a series of holding platforms of some kind. I'm not going to do any that are straight on, straight out from the back. I don't want them that way. That's too easy. So what I'll do is I think for the front one we'll do about an angle about like this. So what I'll get is I'll just get some shims and set them on. And then I got to build some kind of a cradle for the router to make these things. So let's get set up to work that out next. Okay, so I think I have a plan. I'm going to build a cradle. It's going to hold the ends of this board. And then a router can ride on top of that cradle. So the first step is to cut the walls for that cradle. And I've got this 16-ish wide inch piece of MDF. It's been CNC machine test stuff for a long time. I've done a lot of tests on it. Doesn't matter at all. I'm going to use this as it. So I'm basically just going to rip this in half real quick, and then we'll build the rest of the jig. Okay, so the plan now is to attach these at the ends, some distance apart, enough to hold all of this. And then a cradle for the router, a platform for the router will just sit up here. So I'm just going to put a plate on either end with a series of holes that'll let me do the tilt and stuff like that. It'll work kind of, not really like a lathe, but it's a positioning system of some kind. So we'll do that. Next, I need to find a piece of scrap to make my end boards now. All right, now I got this is going to be a jig that uses up scraps. I'm liking it. So I got this other piece of particle board. I'm going to rip it to slightly lower than those boards I just did, and then we'll cross cut them to make our end plates. So next steps. Okay, so we're going to take this. It's 26 inches long. If I make this 13, that's going to be plenty of room inside there for moving stuff around. So we're going to cut this off at the miter saw. Okay, we got our fence. We'll set it. I'm going to do it at 12 3/4, so I have some room for squaring up here. So set our fence or stop to 12 3/4. I'm going to take a little off at this end because I have more to waste here. And we'll give ourselves a little DC. Got these parts and these two parts, and this will give you sort of a vision of what I'm after here. Let's put that there. Let's take this and set it here. Set this one here. Let's move this dog out of the way first. Put this down here, I'm going to stick the end on this side, and we're going to get it full width of this. I want it as wide as possible because I want as many choices as I can. So get this, clean off your bench, dummy. Anyway, that, and then we'll do this side, the same thing here. Now, all I have to do is glue and screw these things, or nail these together, glue these together, stick these together, and now I've got a box, right, that I can grab with my bench dogs with the vise right here. I'll put a series of holes in here so I can reach in with a bolt and hold on to this thing. I think it's going to take a pair of holes that do different things. I think that's going to be the way I'll do it. Since this is kind of a one-off, I'm not doing anything fancy here. This is just get things held in a position stable. I don't have to be able to reproduce this much very often anymore. So it should be fine to just do that. I'm thinking through how I'm going to hold it. I think I like a pair of probably lag bolts. I'm thinking probably lag bolts. I'm trying to decide on the bottom. I'm not sure I want to see them. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care that much. I just got to make sure I put those lag bolts in spots that are not problematic. A pair of lag bolts would hold, on either end, would hold everything beautifully. It means I think I want to cut this, I want to cut a couple inches off of this, off these walls, get these things a little bit closer so I can use shorter lag bolts. Yeah, and that'll help hold everything in place. Yeah, all right, we'll do that. So the first thing I'm going to do before I cut the side walls is that little nib that's on there is unnecessary, making things longer than they have to be. So I'm going to just pop that off right now. There we go, and I just slammed into my bench nicely. That's okay. But now I don't have to have it as long as, because that was just sticking out. Didn't need it. So 30.5 would hold it, but I want to have a little bit of room for tiltage. So we're going to go to 31 on these guys. So let me get you over to the miter saw. There and there. Okay. Box topped. Box is together. It isn't going to be super scooping sturdy, but it's going to be sturdy enough. Ooh, did I just glue all over? No, I didn't, because I had to wipe most of that glue off. Just get this extra glue out of the way so that it does not interfere with nothings. Okay. This will get held in here by the vise. And the only thing we need now is a sled for the router, which will be easy enough to make. Okay, found a piece. Just a single little stick of, it's got melamine on it so it'll slide nice. And the first thing I'll do is I'll find center, and we'll mark a, what is this, 23 3/4. 12, 11 7/8, and then we'll find center here at 6, so at 3, somewhere in this vicinity is my center point. I'm just going to make room for a router bit to get in there. I'm just going to grab a Forstner real quick. We'll do like a 3/4 inch Forstner, grab a drill press, throw it on the drill press, and cut away. 1 minute I'm making stupid mistakes. Other minutes I feel a little brilliant. So I just drilled a 3/4 inch hole in that board, right? I just happened from when I was flattening my bench, probably. I don't remember when I used this last, but I just happened to have a 3/4 inch guide bushing in the router already and a really long 1/2 inch bit. Guide bushing falls in, router plunges down, cut, cut, cut. Boink. We're done already. I don't even have to bolt this. I don't have to mount it to nothing. I just move it around. Yeah! Sorry, occasionally a blind squirrel finds a nut. And that is the nut. Brilliant! Anyway, so the only thing left now is fastenment of the part, of the workpiece. And I can work with that. We'll start this next. Figure out what I'm going to do there. Alright, so it's together. We've got our base plate. I forgot, I'm sorry. I just went and found a bunch of lag bolts. And I've drilled 3 holes in this end. And they are, let me show you. There's one on this side, one on this side. There's one here, and one up in the tops, up in the middle area. But they're down far enough towards the splat back that they'll be part of the main body of the trunk when it's finished shaping, so that I can go deep enough and not worry about running into the holes when I go through the shaping process. I just have to make sure I don't go through those and expose those holes in the side grain, because that would make me angry. Okay, so I did a little tiny counter bore in those as well, so that I can throw these, they're called dowel points. These dowel points go into the hole, and you can use them to locate the mating piece, the hole in the mating piece, and it makes a little divot so you can drill your pilot hole there. And so we're going to do the same on this one, on this end. It's just a 1/4 inch hole, about a 1/4 inch deep. Doesn't take too much. It will not affect the lag bolt's ability to grab in any way, so that's good. Alright, so now the next step, we've got the holes drilled in the ends. The next step is just getting it positioned for our first go at this. And I'm just going to hold it up here in for a second. I think I'm going to put, I'll put a dowel point in there. I'm going to hold it at an angle because I don't want any of them to be straight up and down. I think I'm going to do this one first. So I'm going to do it at just a tiny little bit of an angle, and I'm going to have it tilted way down here. I guess I could come at it this way too. No, I'm going to go like this. And so what that means is I'm going to have it like that. Yeah, like so. And I'm going to use 2 screws in each end. So I'm going to put one in the wider spread 2 holes and just use that as my locating zone in the particle board end here. So we'll just have it at an angle, and then I'll just do like that. I think I'm going to hold it and then pound on it with my mallet to make the mark. And I'm going to have this one, come on now, tilt the way I want you to. I'm going to drop it down a little further and just, oy, it's too heavy for my left hand. Let's see if I can get it this way. Like that. Got one marked. I'll get one in there and then I'll mark the other one. It's going to be a little bit of an iterative process, I think. There we go. Now this thing's not going anywhere. There we go. Now we are secured on that edge. That'll do. Okay. Now we can drill. Grab the drill. Talk about random, eh? Okay. Now we can take one lag bolt. Yep. And use it to position now I can get it to hold the weight that I want to use to grab that end. Oh, I got it backwards. I flipped the workpiece around. Silly. This side. Ow. Okay. Let's do right there. I think that got it. Yeah, it did. Mark it real quick so I don't lose it. That, drill our second hole. And this is exactly how it's going to go. For each one. I'm going to do some shorter ones here because this is the only end I'm going to get. Well, maybe not. Maybe I will do some on that end. Can't decide. I have to make up my mind here how I'm going to hold this. I believe that if I can bring it over far enough, I can do just fine. Yeah, I don't want to lose those. And then a couple of washers. This should go in far enough that I'm not too worried. That going. Okay. Now we take this and twist it around here till my other hole lines up. Like it should. There's the other hole. There we go. Okay. Theory is coming to reality here. But I have to move it, put the washer on first. Okay, I'll bring you guys in when you see this, when I get it settled here and you can see what I've done. Oop, that's grabbing too much. There. Okay, this isn't moving real far. I'm not too concerned. No, that's starting to pick it up. That's pretty good. And now, I think if I play my cards right, I can hold fast you in place. That'll do. There we go. There. 3 points of contact. Don't need as many holes that way. Yeah, we should be plenty able to do this one. So I'm going to bring you in now so you can see what I've got set up here. Okay, so first of all, there's just 2 holes here that I drilled. You saw me make the points for those. And then on the other side, I'll show you the next bit. Okay, so those 2 holes go right into the ends of the board, and they're pulling it right up against the edge, which is fine. Then we'll take our router caddy, which will go right over the top of this, and I can just see through where I want to cut it, and I'll just cut a flat spot right there. I'm going to go all the way on this one because I know I'm going to make a round surface here, so I don't really care that I'm cutting away a bunch. And then I'm going to come down here, and I think I'm going to do the same angle. Maybe I'll turn it a little more. Not sure yet. I might turn this one so it's a little further out sideways. This one's going to come out this way. This one's going to go this way. So yeah, we'll probably turn that one a little bit. But that is the general idea of what I'm headed for here. Just giving a branch right there, and we'll get that moving. So I think we're ready to start routing at this point. I'll get that all configured and I'll bring you back. Okay, so you can see here we've got a straight cutting router bit. It's nice and long in there, in the collet. And I'm going to lose the plunge on it here. And we'll plug it in. I haven't decided what my depth is going to be. I'm going to go in small increments and then just stop when I get there. So I don't know where there is just yet. So we'll find out together. Just put that in the bushing there in the hole. Now we can just come over here and go zip, 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 and make ourselves a flat spot. This thing isn't turning, it isn't going anywhere, so that's the whole point. And basically we'll create a plane on the board parallel with this plane here. And that's basically the process. Whether it's going to work or not, I don't know. Yeah, so there we are. We're going to start cutting here in a second. Alright, so that was the first one. I started out, I'm going to end up shaving off all the corners of this anyway, so I wasn't worried about cutting into these. But then I figured it's easier to do that later, I think. I don't want to deal with it now. So I just got one flat spot. This will be where one piece comes off of this edge. Next up, I'm going to disrobe from all the safety gear here and go blow my nose. And then we'll set up, I'm going to turn it, I'm going to rotate it more this way to get this one over here. But overall, I'd say the method is working. It's a little tough to see, but for a one-off jig, this is doing just fine. Cool, there we go. Alright, as if I did not learn my lesson the last time I tried doing what I'm about to do, I'm about to do something again. Remember way back, I was trying to drill holes on the CNC and I put a drill in the router and it burnt the drill pretty good. I'm doing the same thing once again. I've decided that I'm going to use dowels or something, pins of some sort to hold on the mating pieces. In order to do that, I need to locate holes perpendicular to this face so that it'll slide together and mate properly. No better opportunity than while it is already in a position, while I made the flat spot, to make perpendicular holes. So what I'm going to try, emphasis on the try, is router bit in, or drill bit in the router again, turn the speed all the way down, and this time I'm not going to be forcing the bit, I'm going to peck like crazy. I'm going to put the router in like I did before, just like that, and then I'm going to come over and I'm going to locate where I want these holes to go, and then I'm going to clamp this thing down so that it cannot move, and all I'm going to do is plunge. This is the plan. Okay, so I'm just going to drop down to 0 here and make sure I can go all the way here. Yes, I can. Okay, drop down to about 0, come up just a tiny bit. Now let's find our, there's a good spot right there. Now we can just clamp you in place. Let's take a clamp. Okay. Just clamp you in one spot. Over here with this side. Okay. There. Now we're sturdy. We're not going anywhere. If I do this right, it's just a simple plunge until it can't plunge any further. I'm gonna, I can't now, but I was going to. I'll just deal with it. I want to make sure I don't bottom out onto the brass. But so we're ready now to try this peck drilling game here. So here we go. Alright, let's see. That didn't sound bad. Seemed okay. let's pop the clamps off and swing it over. Yeah, that could have drilled a nice decent hole. Good. I'm okay with what I got there. That'll work for me. Let's do the next one. Drop it to 0 and find where I want you. Right there. Let's set you here. And grab this one on this side. And drill hole number 2. And they're about an inch deep or so, maybe a little bit less. But this is working out okay, so we'll do the next one. And there we go, 2 holes right where I wanted them. They're a little bit scorchy, but not, oops, sorry. 2 holes right where I wanted them. They're a little bit scorchy, but nothing bad. That's gonna work beautifully. I'll probably take a quick hit with a plane on this one, just to make it beautifully smooth, but got a big flat spot where I want it. And there'll be a block that comes off of this that I'll shape as well. Next one is over on this side, so we'll get that. And I think we're done detail shots. I'm just gonna go after it. I'm gonna take you out wide shot and you can see all the steps that are going on here. Okay, well, looks like a tree trunk to me, yeah? It's a good day. I can see here now where the rot is. The rot is only going in about a quarter, maybe a quarter inch. And we're not going to bother with messing with that too badly, I don't think. Yeah, so we've got all our facets made. There's 2 for a feet, and I'm going to put a foot out straight out to the bottom of the center. There's a facet here for a branch to come out this way, and this facet will go do the same. It'll come out this way and support the tabletop. There'll be a little tiny one that just comes out of here. It's not going to come out far, just a little bit, and it's, you know, at an angle, and it'll support the center spot so that it can be supported in the middle. That's all of the rough, that's all of the joinery facets that I need. I think the next things on the list will be to cut the branches, all the branches. I need 5 little branches here. This one's a shorty, about like this. This one will come out to about here. This one's got to be a bit longer and a little curvy to come out to about here. Probably somewhere in this area. And then these guys are going to be feet that come out fairly far. So there's a fair number of these that I need. So, you know, something about 6, maybe not 16, but 14, 13 or 14. How long is this? They're going to be 16 inches long at most. Those are the parts that'll be used for that. And then 3 pieces for the rest. So, yeah. Overall, I'm pleased with progress such as it is. And I've decided I'm not going to use the 1/4 inch holes as is. I'm going to use them as guides for dowel centers, and then I'll drill them out for bigger dowels. I'll use probably 1/2 inch or more dowels for that to get a good deep penetration and a good deep socket. That way it'll really be held good, held well. But yeah, so that is the start of the center log, I guess. There's an awful lot more shaping going on here. This is just, all I did here was facets for the flat spots. Those are the only flat spots this thing's going to have now. The rest is going to be all curvy and sculpted and such. But until I get my joinery worked out, I'm not going to mess with the facets yet, or not mess with the curvy spots yet. So, all right, so thanks for watching. That'll be in the next part. Go make it.